Okay, so this morning when I got onto Facebook, I saw that um, my niece's husband had posted this post right here. Sandy Hook, the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history. I think not. In 1890, the U.S. government shot and killed over 90 unarmed Indians at school, including over 200 women and children. How quickly we forget history. Okay, so that's when I went ahead and I said, here is a video of Robbie Parker the day after his supposed daughter Emily was supposedly murdered at Sandy Hook. He's really sad. A lot of people have seen this video right here where he's smiling and whatnot. So anyway, I went ahead and I also did a video on the Sandy Hook Simpsons. Okay, and that's what I really wanted to elaborate on. But what I noticed in the events today, I said, notice how the time on Robbie's video shows 5:22. Now notice the Simpson video is season 22, and what is today? 6:22. Just saying. Okay, so then I go on to show some things here. The first mention of the word Kenite is Numbers 24:22, which 2 and 4 is 6, so you have 6:22. So this is what kicked off everything for me today, the subject matter of this video. Okay, so now, that being said, we have the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, which was December 14, 2012. For my people who are familiar with me and my past work, something else I've noticed today was the coordinates are 41. Okay, they begin with a 41. Okay, so we're dealing with December 14th. Now that 41 can go back to my Saul Begley channel and my Synchronicity in 41 video, if anybody cares to check that out. It has a lot of interesting things going on. So, okay, so that being said, now we're going to go to the list of from season 22, which is 2010 to 11, which was that video that I showed in it where they mentioned Sandy Hook, and the two guys are the new guy, which is the narc, says, let's brag about our crimes, and then they cut the scene, and the scene goes to Fat Tony's niece or whatever talking about Sandy Hook. Okay, so now we have the date May 1, all right, which is a high occult holiday. We also have 2011, which this is the year would just make this a super high occult day, and it is indeed a day of emergency, and that is why Sandy Hook is mentioned in this episode. We have the 19th episode of the 22nd year, but what I noticed today, which I found extremely interesting, is we have September 26, 2010, we have the beginning of the season kicks off with elementary school musical. Okay, I thought that was extremely interesting, but it really didn't surprise me. People will say, yeah, you go looking for stuff and you'll find all kinds of things. Well, I would agree with that. You will. You have to know what to look for, and you also have to know why you're looking. Okay? So, Now that being said, so now back to the list. So now we move on. The next season begins on September 25th with the Falcon and the Dope Man. Okay. So we pretty much go through this season. March 11 would be 311, which would stand for your KKK, which is why Rush Limbaugh's second book was launched on that day. It's Albert Pike symbology with KKK and Masonry. How I Wet Your Mother. Okay. Just a little rude humor in there. So now we begin here with Moonshine River in season 24. Okay, so we come down to, actually we went too far there. This was the date and the episode prior to the supposed murderous massacre, the elementary school massacre. Okay, notice it's number 7. You could do 5 and 5. You could have 11 if you wanted to. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Okay, so now the day the earth stood cool. That was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 5 days prior to the event. Okay, it just so happens that in this episode we have humble bragging, which I mentioned in the Fat Tony Housewives of Fat Tony, the plant, the police plant, FBI plant or whatever. He says, let's brag about our crimes, right prior to Sandy Hook being mentioned in that episode. Now, in this episode, the other thing I found interesting was we have an Emily mentioned, which Emily was the supposed daughter of the laughing, smiling Robbie Parker. Okay? So now, I believe it's the next episode after that was after the shooting, which would have been To Cure with Love. So as I was going through these, I thought it was kind of interesting that, okay, the other thing I found interesting was, so the shooting occurred here on the 14th. Okay. Now, here you have Dark Knight Court. Okay. So now, Sandy Hook was on the map in Dark Knight Rises. It was the only legible place on the map. And many people have done videos on that little coincidence or connection, which is also very interesting. And that came out 20 July. So you got 7 July 2012. So the movie actually came out in between these two seasons. But it's interesting that they have a Dark Knight Court on 3/17 of 2013, which of course the next month you would have the whole Boston bombing occurrence event, supposed terror event. Okay, another little interesting little tidbit there. we have two shows right here, 12 and 13, on my birthday for 2014. The Man Who Grew Too Much, okay, which was a play off of The Man Who Knew Too Much, okay. And when we go to this, we find 1922. Okay, I thought that was extremely interesting. Detective stories. Castle and Company. You have a 33 there with the two C's in 1922. Facing the Target, The Vanishing Prince, The Soul of the Schoolboy, The Bottomless Well, The Hole in the Wall, The Fat of the Fisherman, The Fool of the Family, The Vengeance of the Statue. Okay, this is all very interesting to me. You could call me what you will. That is fine with me. I'm just trying to share some information I discovered today with you. And I think that will do it for my video. If you wanted to look through all these, you could go to the Wikipedia. Four Regrettings and a Funeral. Mark Wilmore. Some interesting stuff. Anyway, now you know. Season 22 began with Elementary School Musical. Very interesting. Okay, there's my video.